soft touches, sharp edges.
You are watching and listening to Velvet Violence,
the podcast that dissects the intersection of obsession and the obituary.
From crimes of passion to the cold-blooded pursuit of forever, we are looking at high cost of human connection.
I'm Diliana.
And I'm Marta.
Let's get into the heart of the matter and the bodies left behind. Let's make one thing clear before we step into the darkness. We're not detectives or lawyers. We don't solve crimes. We just emotionally process them with a microphone. This podcast is a retelling of real events using publicly available sources and wrapping them in our own narrative style. It's a commentary, not a courtroom. So please, don't come after us. We've seen enough true crime to know that never ends well. Ashley Wadsworth was a vibrant 19 years old whose life was cut short in a tragic tale of an online romance that turned into a nightmare. Known for her adventurous spirit, Ashley traveled 5,000 miles to finally meet her online boyfriend, Jack Sepple. What began as her dream trip ended as a high-profile tragedy because she was murdered just days before her scheduled flight home. Today, her story serves as a powerful cautionary tale and a catalyst of a global conversation on domestic safety and the hidden risk of the digital grooming. They say love knows no borders. For 19 years old, Ashley Wadsworth, those weren't just words, they were a mission. In late 2021, she packed her bags in her quiet hometown of Vernon, British Columbia, and traded the snowy peaks of Canada for the bustling streets of Essex, England. She wasn't just traveling for the sights, she was traveling for him, Jack Sepple, a man that she met online, a man who promised her a new chapter, and a man who represented that kind of love adventure that every teenager dreams of. Her social media was a gallery of smiles, trips to London, pictures of the couple outside of the Buckingham Palace, and captions filled with love hearts. To the outside world, Ashley was living a fairy tale, but behind the filtered photos and the check-ins at historic landmarks, the atmosphere in their small flat at Tennyson Road was shifting. The excitement of United Kingdom was being replaced by suffocating isolation. On February 1st, 2022, just days before she was scheduled to fly back to her family, the neighbors were alerted by Ashley. When the police finally broke down the door, the fairy tale didn't just end, it shattered. Today, we are looking at the tragic case of Ashley Wadsworth, a story about the bravery of a young love, the dangers of the digital age, and the terrifying reality of what happens when the person who you crossed an ocean for becomes the person you need to escape from.
What the hell? It just reminds me when I moved into Austria for a guy because I was so in love with him. And it's so scary because you put such a big trust on a man that you don't really know.
I know, yeah. And you are very young as well.
Yeah, I think I was about 18 years old when I packed my bags in Poland. I was in university and I decided to go and visit a guy that I was with for a few months and I ran away. But yes, tell me about Ashley. Who was she?
So Ashley was born on July 25th in 2002. Her mom Christy and her dad Kenneth, they split up when she was very young. She had an older sister, Natalie, and they loved each other so much. Her mom and dad obviously weren't together through her whole childhood, but they were still like such a close family. The dad was very involved, still, even though he remarried later, and we know that's not such uncommon thing. But I'm trying to say it was still such a good environment to raise children because both of the parents were involved in their lives. Like she was especially close with her sister and her mom because obviously they lived together. But her dad was still very active parent. So, as I said earlier, she was born and raised in Vernon, British Columbia. It was a small town, so there was nothing to do there after 6 p.m. So there was no bars or anything like this. Pretty much you could go to do stuff in the day, like or hike or whatever, but there was nothing much to do. It was very close community. Everybody knew each other. And it was said about Ashley that she literally was such a sweet girl. She was saying hello to everybody. She was friend with everybody. She could start a conversation about anything. And she wasn't really content with staying put. She was very adventurous. She loved to travel, so she's been to Mexico, she's been to California, and that was just in her teenage years. She was just that type of person who loved to be active. She was very good at school as well. She was very smart, very intelligent. Literally, she was on the top of her class. And one of the most defining aspects of Ashley's life was her involvement with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And her faith provided her with such a strong moral compass and like the willing to help others. As I said before, she was such a bright kid. She was speaking 3 languages. She was speaking English, French, and Spanish. And she had such a kick of like connecting with people with different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Later on, she graduated school and she wanted to pursue a career like when she could help people again. So I've read different stuff. I've read that she maybe wanted to pursue nursing or become a lawyer because she was so involved with people all of her life that she really wanted to continue this. She was very athletic as well. So she was playing tennis, she was riding horses, she was very involved in every activity that you can think of. She wanted just to try everything, I feel like. She was such an adventurous spirit that people just loved to talk to her because she had that energy, like a bright energy. Friends and family also described her as a nurturer. As I said, she cared deeply for people. And her mom often said that she was the backbone of the family. So she kept everyone together and she just loved them so much. It's safe to say she had huge plans for her future. And to her, the world was that like huge space and an open door for new adventures. And she just wanted to follow her dreams.
So she sounds like a perfect daughter and sister,
Yes.
and very clever one, because I currently learning Spanish and literally went to Spain recently and all I could say was hola.
Hola is good enough.
Yeah. And gracias. Yeah. But from what you said, 3 languages, very educated and very loved by her family, her friends, and she had dreams, she had a career she wanted to pursue. So I just can't connect the dots though. How did she met him? Like, the guy sounds absolutely awful and what he did was even worse. So I just can't connect it, like, from such an amazing person that she was, meeting a guy who's an absolute dick. So do you have any more information about him? Who was he?
So pretty much, Ashley met Jack online when she was only 12 years old.
Wow.
She was very young. She was a child. He was 3 or 4 years older than her.
Yeah.
And they met on Facebook. So if you remember back in the day, Facebook was really very popular and there was no Instagram. Instagram became popular, I think, later on.
Yeah.
And it was very common thing just to add people without even knowing them, like friends of friends, and then you start chatting to them. And kind of that's what happened with Ashley and Jack. I think they had a mutual friend on Facebook, so they added each other and they just started a conversation. Obviously, she's only 12, he's around 15, 16 years old, so it's kind of normal, but it's still a quite significant age gap, because when you're 16, I feel like you know more about physical relationships and stuff. When you're 12,
yeah, no.
You don't
maybe
really.
She maybe thought that it's just her online friend because he always lived in UK.
Yes.
So maybe she just wanted, obviously, she loved traveling, like you said at the beginning, maybe it was more just like a friendship from
it was
online
literally
friendship, yeah.
It was literally just a friendship in the beginning. So they started chatting. He was obviously a good-looking guy. She was very cute girl. So you can't really say that's not like normal, because it's like, it's some guy from England with the accent and everything. Obviously, they're still messaging at this point, and they're just talking about innocent stuff like, how was your day at school, and do you have brothers, sisters, your family, tell me about everything. So it was very innocent and kind of sweet.
Yeah, just like a pen pal, who lives across the world, so it's very interesting, I would say, even.
Yes.
Nothing, sexual or whatever at the beginning.
Definitely. Just, and also, Ashley didn't even have a mobile phone. Because they lived in such a small community, she didn't need one. So every time she was out or something, there was always people around that if she had to call her family, they would let her use their phone or whatever. She didn't even need a mobile phone. That's how safe the place that she lived in was. And she was using the family computer to chat to Jack online, and her family knew about it. Obviously, they found it a bit, it's quite weird, I guess, when you have a daughter so young and you find out that she's talking to a guy online. As you can imagine, a parent will straight away think, well, you don't know who this is. It might be a 50 years old guy. So they were quite uncomfortable with what was happening. But as the friendship grew and grew, they started FaceTiming each other as well. So her family then, they didn't feel more comfortable, but they knew that he was truthful, So they could see he's really a 15 years old guy. And they were talking to each other. She was like showing him around her house, her family, and they were all like, hello, Jack. And Jack was saying hello back. And her mom even say, I love your accent and stuff like that. So, it was giving that, okay, that's her friend, we're gonna accept it. And it's kind of a sweet boy that they saw on the camera. It wasn't like some 50 years old guy, weirdo.
Of course, and at the end of the day, he's just online. It's not like he's just around the corner.
Yeah, it's like, what could happen?
Exactly. Yeah, no, totally get it.
They know that he's in England, so they're probably never gonna meet.
Yeah.
It's just they having conversation and their daughter is happy.
Yeah.
And they're talking, and she's very young, but that relationship never fizzled out. So it continues all the way until she was 18, 19. So as you can imagine, it was just a friendship when she was 12 and he was 15. But as she grew older, like she's 15 now, 16, so it turns a bit like a love relationship.
Of course.
Because they're both older now, and they start talking about more of a like, oh, we want to be together, kind of. The conversation is shifting, you know what I mean? And it was very sweet because Jack was literally sending her gifts.
Oh.
As you can imagine, as a teenager, you're completely oblivious of any dangers in the world.
Oh, definitely.
So some guy is sending you gifts from the other part of the world, and you think just like, oh my God, that's really a real life fairy tale.
Definitely,
I'm living in. Yeah. And he was sending her kind of jewelry, handbags, some clothes. And it was just something that you could never think of. Like when I was that age, nobody ever sent me anything. Do you know what I mean? It was like maybe your boyfriend's gonna give you a bracelet or something, but not a stranger from the other part of the world.
Yeah.
It's so like strange. And obviously her family found this very weird. Because why? Like, why would you feel the need to send a girl that lives so far away from you gifts?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you live your own separate lives.
It kind of feels like grooming, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And especially when he was, it's only a couple of years, but still, he was older than her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's started shifting to being a little bit more dangerous than
because she was pretty much 15, 16 years old, and at this point he's like 19, 20 years old. When the relationship turned more like an adult's relationship, they were talking now how they wanted to meet each other and like they kind of like each other in a different way. that's when it started turning toxic a little bit.
Mm.
So Jack started being a bit obsessive. He was getting obsessed, like, what is she doing now? What is she doing when she's not chatting with him online? Obviously, her friends, she had one best friend. She was called Tiana. And she really disliked Jack. She didn't like how obsessive he's becoming towards her friend. And I guess Jack didn't like her either. And at this point, it's very on and off relationship because they argue sometimes. So Ashley blocks him. She doesn't want to talk to him anymore, but then he creates new profiles on Facebook. He's contacting her again. If she doesn't answer again, he's contacting her sister, her friends. And do you know what I mean? Like, for such a young girl to be in that situation, she thinks he's either crazy probably, or he loves me that much.
Yeah. I guess maybe she didn't. So I guess she didn't really had any relationship prior. Maybe she didn't know
Any different?
anything.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she thought that's how the relationship looks like. But on the other hand, I just can't believe it. So what, he expected her? I know she's from a small town and, you know, there isn't much to do. But I guess she was expecting her to fucking sit next to her PC all day long. But it just shows, so that's what he was doing all day long? Because back then, I guess, you didn't chat over the phone. You just chat online at your home. So he probably was just sitting there all day long, being like 18 or so. So, do you mean, it's just quite creepy? And yeah, I'm not surprised, you know, if you've got a best friend, you obviously see the signs that your friend doesn't, because she's lured, you know,
Yeah.
she's in love with him. But yeah, creating different profiles and trying to, oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's creepy, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult to say, because I said it was like around 2014 when they met. So kind of in the beginning, as I said, she didn't have a phone or anything, but later on she had a mobile phone. So they were able to talk more and FaceTime more.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when he became like more obsessive. But the funny thing is, yeah, he was trying to be so possessive of her, even so from so far away, but he was still seeing other people.
I was going to ask you actually, because it's impossible for, you know, unless he's from a village with 3 houses, he obviously have friendships, you know, so, and dating someone else.
The thing is, yeah, he was very antisocial person, but he still was talking to other people online. He had girlfriends between, you know, that time that they met online and until they finally met face to face. So he wasn't like a nice person for that, because obviously Ashley, he was the only one person in her life that she saw this way, like a boyfriend girlfriend type of thing. Yeah, but he was, even though he was telling her, oh, you can't talk to this person, you can't talk to this person, block this guy, and he was having a full-on relationships back in England.
Yeah, proper narcissist and gaslighter, you can tell straight away. You can't do this shit, but I can.
Yes. At this point, Ashley is around 16 years old. As I said, they had their issues, whatever, but Ashley always saw the good in people. And she kind of already been talking to Jack for so long that she developed feelings. And she really wanted to see him in person, so she did ask her parents. She felt like she's ready, and she wanted to fly to England to see Jack. But as you can imagine, her parents said straight away, no fucking way. You're too young. There's no way we're letting you go to different country with a guy we've never met.
On your own, yeah. No.
No chance. Obviously, she wasn't happy with that, but she just thought to herself, like, well, I guess I just need to wait a little bit more. And that's really what happened, to be honest. She grew up. She was 18 years old. She graduated school. She was accepted in a college. As I said, she had very big dreams, and she decided to take a gap year. So she's 19 years old now, and she's like, that's the time. So this is, guys, a long time to be talking to someone online. She feels like she knows him. She just wants to meet him in person. She's decided to take that gap year, and she's decided, okay, because she was taking some odd jobs here and there, so she saved money.
Yeah.
And she was very bright, so she could pursue this. She knew how to do, how to travel, how to arrange everything herself. So she didn't really need any help or financial help either. She saved her own money and she was ready to go.
God, it sounds like me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does sound. I was thinking exactly about you.
It's so bad, because when you're at that age, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in that situation, you know, just understand why she didn't meet him. You don't care what's gonna happen. For me personally, it was just an adventure. I wanted to live in England, or I wanted to live in Austria. I didn't want to stay in Poland. I fallen in love with someone, or I didn't. I just wanted to leave, and you did not care about anything.
Yeah.
You're just buying a one-way ticket and go. And it's so, like, if I would have to do it now, being over 30 years old, no fucking way. Because you learn your life and you know how careful you need to get. So I totally understand Ashley, what she did. And
Me too.
She, you know, she wanted to see the guy. I mean, who wouldn't? If you talk with someone for so long, obviously you think you know him. Because, I mean, from 12 years old until when she was 19.
And not just like, even her family felt like they knew him. As I said, she was quite open about the relationship. Her whole family knew about this guy. They've seen him like on the phone, and it was just, I don't know, but it was really like that kind of dream that you can't imagine. Like, 'cause bear in mind, that could have ended in the best like kind of way. It could have ended like with them seeing each other and just like, okay, we don't have the connection, so that's it as well. So you're never gonna imagine it's gonna go this far.
Of course, you don't go anywhere meeting people with a thought that that person gonna kill you.
Exactly, yes.
Unless otherwise you would stuck at home and do absolutely nothing and be scared to go out.
Especially when with the kind of person she was like such an open person to the world. She trusted that people are kind of like her.
Yeah, definitely.
You could never imagine to hurt anybody, can you? Like physically. No. So she was that. If you think that you can't do this shit, you kind of think that why would other people do it?
It's so sad though, because you, like you said, you think the same way. You expect to think the same way as the other person.
Yes.
You know, so you're gonna travel to see a guy you've been in love since you were a little kid, really. And you know, it's so nice to see that even though she was in love with him, she still wanted to pursue her career. She was very educated, because you know how it's like. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, fuck this shit, I'm moving out, I'm leaving everything, because everything what's on my mind is occupied by this guy. So it's, you know, it's nice to see that she didn't give up on her career. I mean, on her studies, and taking a gap year, there is no wrong with that. So tell me, how did it went? Like, what was the plan? How she managed to, you know, save the money and get a ticket? Like, did she told him that she gonna meet him? Was it a surprise? You know?
Well, basically, it wasn't a surprise. So she has decided that she spoke with her parents, with her sister. They weren't happy guys, okay? They told her, listen, you really shouldn't do this, and we're not happy about this. We would rather for you not to go. But she told them pretty much, well, I'm going. Regardless. But her parents knew. They can't stop her at this point. She's 19, she's got her own money. As I said, she worked odd jobs, she had money saved, she bought her own ticket. And it was just inevitable. It was gonna happen with or without them. So as a parent, I guess you're thinking, well, I don't wanna be isolated from my own daughter, so I'll support her.
Of course.
So they rather know where she is, what she's doing, than get mad at her.
And break that bond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they had a very strong bond. They loved each other and they were gonna support her, whatever she decided to do, but they weren't happy about it. As you can imagine, as an adult, you think differently.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know different.
Yeah.
But I guess they were hoping that that was gonna be the fairy tale she wanted.
Yeah,
Who doesn't want their child to be happy?
definitely.
And that was gonna make Ashley happy.
Of
Going
course.
to England. Obviously, she knows 3 languages. She's very excited to see, London, to experience. It's like one of a lifetime experience to travel so far away from your country.
Still surprised that people like London.
Well, if you think about it, everyone wants to go and see London. It might be for like 2 days or whatever, but for a tourist to go to London, it's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff to see.
Yeah, I know. I'm just laughing from my own perspective. Like, there is so many other much more beautiful cities in England to visit, but because it's a capital, we go, let's go to London.
Of course. So yes, Ashley packed her bags. She was ready to go to England. She secured 6 months tourist visa. She was so excited. Like, even her family said she was just ecstatic. She was so happy. She could see it now, like it was getting so close.
Yes, of course.
Her plan was quite clear. She was gonna go to England, spend 6 months with her online boyfriend, and then come back to Canada and start her real life, obviously go to university and pursue her dreams. And then her father drove her to the airport in November 2021, and he just watched her walking towards her fairy tale. But he didn't even know that's gonna be the last time he's gonna see her.
You started so nice, and I wish you could end there, that she would have...
Yes, me too.
A lovely fairy tale and her pursued dreams, but obviously we know that's not the case, and it will never be the case when you have a conversation on a sofa with us. But tell me what happened when she met him, and who the fuck was he? All we know so far is just an online boyfriend.
So Ashley arrived in Chelmsford, Essex. So Jack picked her up from the airport. He took her to his flat. They unpacked and everything. It was like a dream came true. Yeah, As you can imagine, they were both so happy that they finally met each other. And it was just immediately a bond between them, I guess, because they were waiting for this moment for so long. And it was amazing. Like, Ashley spoke with her family when she arrived. They asked her how she feels, and she said, he's so kind and welcoming, and I'm so happy, I'm so excited. And it really looked like this online also, because for the following days, they were just posting pictures from all around London. So he took her to London. She saw a lot of things that she dreamed to see, and they just looked so happy. People thought literally she was living a fairy tale.
That's often the case, isn't it? The more you post online with your boyfriends and how amazing your life is, it's never the case in the real life, is it?
The thing is, it really was though.
At the beginning, yeah.
Yes, in the beginning it was like amazing. As I said, they were just all the time around some architecture. He was showing her around London, and she just looked like she was so happy to be there. He looked like they were posting selfies together, and they look cute together. Yeah. It's like, if you see them and if you don't know what happened in this case, you would think, oh my God, what a cute couple.
Yeah.
And her family was so relieved. That was just what they were hoping for. They were like, oh my God, maybe that was the right decision. She looks like so happy. She sounds so happy on the phone. And even though they couldn't have stopped her anyway, but like, as a parent, that kind of...
Yes, of course. No, you obviously want to prevent her from going because you are scared, and that's totally understandable. And seeing how happy she is, it's just like a relief, isn't it? It's like, okay, I was so worried, but there is nothing to worry about. Look how happy they are. And it's just very sad what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, unfortunately it was like that in the beginning, yes. But I missed to mention, Jack didn't work. He was jobless, yes. Don't ask me how he got money to take her places, but from what I saw, all their pictures were like sightseeing and stuff. It wasn't from restaurants or dates or anything like that. Maybe they had 1 or 2 pictures. I cannot confirm, but I think it was more like a, let's go here and there, travel by train or whatever.
Yeah, that you need to pay for.
Later on, her family noticed every time they talk to each other, Ashley is in that flat with Jack, and they don't do anything. Her friends noticed that as well, and they were like, are you okay? What's going on? You don't seem to do much anymore. Yeah, and she was like, no, we're fine, we're just chilling here. And she was finding excuses, but her friend Tiana, as I said, she wasn't very happy about that. She was like, well, you went there for adventure.
Exactly.
To see
not
stuff.
Sitting on a flat,
not to sit in some small one-bedroom apartment and do fuck all. And as I said, Jack didn't like Tiana.
Tiana.
And Tiana didn't like Jack, but for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But he liked her just because she was obviously telling Ashley what she thinks. And there was a voice recording how Jack is just screaming like, I'm gonna fucking kill her, and he sounds so angry. And I can't even believe it, like, cause I heard that on like a documentary, but Ashley was there hearing how angry he really sounds, like a crazy person. He's screaming like, I'm gonna kill her, and just horrible stuff. I don't even want to mention, because to me, if I see someone in that kind of state, I would immediately know I need to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, Ashley is a young girl. She knew that Jack have some mental health issues.
Oh.
He's been honest about this. But guys, that's not mental health issues. People with mental health issues, they don't go scream to people or like just being abusive. Doesn't matter if it's emotionally or physically. Mental health not gonna cause you to kill anybody. It's just crazy to me. When I heard that recording, I was like, that's fucking so creepy and so scary. You can tell that person can snap at any point.
Immediately. She probably felt stuck, being there, being so happy and waiting for that moment all her life, pretty much. When he snapped, she probably thought, okay, it's gonna be one thing, because I had such a good memories with him that won't stop me. Like, maybe I feel like she maybe was the person who wanted to, how to say it, when something don't go to plan, you kind of not see it, because you're disappointed by yourself that you made that choice of going then meeting him in that sentence.
And also I feel like she was such a kind and sweet girl.
She gave him credit.
And she didn't want to worry anyone either. She was always on the phone to her parents and her sister. Everything is fine, everything is good. And so I missed to tell you, back at home, some of her church friends, they contacted Ashley with some people from the church in England.
Okay.
So she can make connections and she can have friends in England as well, in London. So they contacted her with those people, and she did want to go and meet with those people. She was that kind of person. She wanted to meet different people, have a lot of friends, and she could start a conversation. She was like, the more people I meet, the better.
Yeah.
So she wanted to arrange those meetings and to go out with those people, but Jack just said no. You're not going to see those people, and you're not even going on a Sunday service or anything, which is so sad, because for people with faith, that's very important.
Of course.
And there's nothing wrong with her wanting to go out and meet with those people who share the same interest. They have the same faith, and they would probably attend Sunday church, and they gonna go on a brunch after, and she would have an amazing time.
Yeah, but especially when she's there for 6 months. Well, is she gonna just be in the flat for 6 months straight? You're going for adventure to a country you never went. You've been there for so many months, and there is friends from her own town trying to connect her. That's just absolutely beautiful,
It is amazing.
You're gonna go see new people, you're gonna have a great time, but as well see your boyfriend. That's absolutely normal, but it's just showing how possessive he was.
He was completely different person, as I said, from the person online that she was messaging and talking to online, from the person that she met. So the online Jack, he was sending her encouraging and sweet messages, but the real life Jack, He was so controlling and paranoid. As I said, he was so obsessive over her. He started checking her phone constantly. He wanted to know who she's messaging, who she's talking to, what are those friends on her Facebook, on her social media. And that's just crazy to me. That's like to take someone's privacy. As I said, she was 19 years old. So for her, this is very shocking.
Yeah, for everyone would be.
To see the difference between this guy who was always like so supportive of her when she was back home. He sounded like he was very loving. He was sending her gifts. He was talking to her family even.
Yeah, you mentioned the word grooming, and that's exactly the case, unfortunately.
Definitely.
He did whatever he wanted to get her to love him, to the point that she gonna move in, and then that's it.
Yeah.
He's there on her own. She's there, on her own. Probably in his head was like, fuck, if she gonna meet other people, she might go and seek help, but she's mine. Do you know what I mean? So I want to keep her in that flat.
Funny that you said she's mine, because I feel like he really felt that she was his. He wanted to keep her in a cage, and he often used like his mental health to guilt trip her. There was a day a little bit before Christmas, so Ashley arrived in November, so you can tell how fast the things become bad. Yeah. So ambulance was called to the flat, and Ashley was the one who called the ambulance because he overdosed on some pills, and she thought, I can't leave him. Probably that's I just can only imagine. Yeah, she's thinking, I cannot leave now because he needs help. Obviously, he's destroying himself. And they took him to the hospital. Everything got sorted. They came back home, and I just cannot imagine what is going through her head at this point. No. She probably feels stuck. She probably feels like she needs to be there for him, because that's very long time that she knew this guy. She felt like she has to protect him probably from himself.
She was a caring person. That's what she wanted to do as a career. Unfortunately, he gaslighted her to that point that she just thought probably if she's gonna leave him, he will kill himself.
Crazy.
Guilt tripping to fuck. And I know a lot of situations like that. Fortunately, they never ended the same way as what happened to Ashley. But you've got those people, regardless if it's a man or women, it's just that jealousy that coming out of you.
Possession.
The possession. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I would never day in my life to trying to gaslight someone to the point that they're scared of me, but they're scared to leave me at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
How fucked up your mind needs to be capable of doing that to other people.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't see a problem with it.
Yeah, and I feel bad like when people abuse that mental health card. Because as I said, guys, people with mental health issues, they're not abusers. And I don't know why people are trying to use that as an excuse in court and everything.
Yeah, I know. This is very sad because I'm sure you guys or you, Liliana, ever had or know someone who've been in that situation. And if you do, please always support your friends, your family members. And if you are in that situation, please immediately remove yourself from it, regardless if you obsessively love that person, because it might not end well. People are obviously terrible. They've been terrible all their lives and they won't change, unfortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much you hope they will.
Exactly. And looking at this situation, it happened in 2022, so it was also COVID times, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's very, very sad because you're stuck there, and look how many cases you've heard about that abuse, what happened during COVID times.
I know, yeah. It's not the only case that happened during COVID.
Yeah, it's just very sad, and we're approaching the worst question of all. Please tell me, how did he kill her?
I need to brace myself for this. So at 8:30 on February 1st, 2022, Ashley ran to the neighbor's door and started knocking on the door and screaming for help. The neighbor, Helen, she opened the door and she asked Ashley what happened. And then Ashley explained that she had just been beaten up by Jack. He smashed her phone into pieces and he threw on the wall their kitten. I missed to tell you, they got a kitten together called Winston, and he threw it on the wall.
Oh my god, why is always the poor animals also?
I know, it's just so sad. I guess like a lot of perpetrators do this just to show the victim what they're capable of.
Yeah, the dominance, yeah.
It's so scary. And for a 19-year-old girl to see her kitten thrown on the wall and then being beaten up, and I'm glad that she was able to run to the neighbor's door. And the neighbor, obviously, she was elderly lady. She looked very sweet, very kind. So she told Ashley, we need to call the police. But Ashley said, no, I don't want to call the police. I just want to call my family. She did just that. She used the neighbor's phone to call her sister, Natalie. She called her and she told her what happened. So her family already knew that things are going bad, just from the conversation and from everything that's been happening, like how everything changed.
Yeah, her demeanor changed as well. She was getting distance.
Yeah, in such a short period of time. It was just crazy to them to hear what just happened, though. It was too much, and they did tell her, you need to come home. They've been telling her this for the past month already, but they were like, you need to get home. So her grandma is buying her ticket. Obviously, as you said, it's COVID times. It's not so simple. You need to do COVID tests. You need to wait a couple of days for results. So the quickest flight they can book, her grandma booked for February 3rd. So that's only a couple of days away. If she could book it for the same day, probably. So that's what they did. The neighbor obviously is very worried because she still thinks they need to call the police. In the end of the day, she decided to respect Ashley's wishes. She decided to respect her wishes and she didn't call the police, and Ashley's family called Jack immediately. So her mom told him, listen, when Ashley was coming, I did tell you to take care of her and everything. I will call the cops on you if you hurt her again. She's coming home, she's got her tickets booked, that's it. If you do something to my daughter, I'm calling the police on you. Jack sounded very calm. He said, no problem, I'll help her to get the COVID test, I'll get her to the airport. Jack apologized to the neighbor for the disturbance. He apologized to Ashley. Ashley went back to the flat with Jack, and the neighbor Helen, I think she had a doctor's appointment a little bit later. It wasn't even like an hour or two, I think, after all this happened, so it was still in the morning. So the neighbor decided to check before she leaves. She knocked on the door. Nobody opened the door, but I just love that neighbor because she tried. Even though she decided to respect Ashley and Jack's wishes, they were both adults, so she decided to talk through the letterbox on the door, and Jack responded. So Jack said, we're in bed, everything is okay. And that a little bit calmed her down. So she left for her doctor's appointment, and that was that. Ashley knew she was in danger. She started messaging her friends, her family from Jack's phone, and she was asking for help. This was happening, it was around 11-12 o'clock UK time. But obviously in where she was from, in Canada, it was like 3:30 in the morning. So her family and friends, they didn't get those messages until like the next following morning. So they woke up seeing Ashley's messaging them, and I don't know, it's just so frustrating because she was so far away from home. It's unbelievable. So they wake up to those messages, and as you can imagine, the desperation. They start calling Jack over and over again, no answer. They have no other choice, but they contacted, you remember I told you they've connected her to those people from the church in London, so they contacted them. So those friends, they went to check on her. They went to the flat, no answer. So they're knocking on the door, they're speaking again through the letterbox on the door, no response, but they could hear there is somebody inside. So that's very triggering, guys. Like, I feel like those people, they did everything they could.
Yes, of course.
It's just crazy that how many people love that girl, because I don't know, but to me it's just so devastating because she needed like a little bit faster response, and I guess if it wasn't so far away she could get it. So when they heard that there is someone in the house but they got no response, that was when police was called. So the police were there in minutes. I'm telling you, often on this podcast, we're talking how bad of a job police is doing. Yeah, they're going for welfare checks. They don't even ask questions if they can't get in the house.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
going away and that's it. But in this case, guys, I don't know. It's like there was an angel there, like looking out for Ashley. So the police got there. They knocked on the door. They tried everything to get someone to open the door, but that didn't happen. So they just shouted again, open the door or we're knocking it down. They shouted that a couple of times, but when I'm telling you, those police officers, they did such a great job. They didn't even hesitate. I'm not even sure that if they asked for permission, they just
Yeah, I
smile.
don't think you have to do that in UK. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
I'm not sure either, but
in US, you've got kind of stricter rules. You can't get into someone's property without,
yeah,
unless there is like a massive danger. But in UK, I think you can, So
Yeah,
that's good on them. That's very good.
but they just knocked the door down, and the bedroom was just like straight away. When you walk through the door, it was on the right, I think, and they could see Jack lying in bed with Ashley's lifeless body next to him.
God.
So when they got into the house, seeing that obviously just shocked them. Jack was on a FaceTime with his sister. Can you believe that?
What?
He had murdered that girl and he was on FaceTime with his sister. There was also blood on his PlayStation or Xbox console or whatever, so he was playing games as well. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this guy? What's wrong with this fucking guy, man? Ambulance was called immediately. As you can imagine, they took Ashley's body outside. Police is arresting Jack and all that. They tried to help her. You can see that there was marks on her neck. She's been strangled and she's been stabbed also. So the ambulance is there. They're trying their best to help Ashley. She's just lying on the grass in front of the house. All the neighbors are outside looking at what's happening, and also Helen. She's also there, and as you can imagine for that woman what it was.
Yeah.
Just this morning, Ashley was there asking for help, and she's been just murdered because they couldn't help her. Ashley was pronounced dead, and Jack was arrested. The neighbor, Helen, as I told you earlier, Ashley called her sister from her phone, so she decided to call the family and tell them what happened. She called her sister Natalie and she told her that what happened. She told her basically, I'm sorry to tell you that, but I think Ashley's been stabbed and I think she's dead. So her sister, Ashley's sister, is telling that to the family. I just can't even believe what this family went through. Like, they were expecting their daughter back in 2 days and they're just hearing that she's been killed. And Natalie is telling that to her mom, and Christy just couldn't believe it. Christy was like, no, there should be something wrong. She's probably in the hospital getting help.
Yeah, of course.
But later on, the police called them also, and they just told them the devastating news. Ashley was stabbed 90 times.
What? 90?
90.
Oh my God.
It's just horrible to think, like, that was such an overkill. I can't believe that he could do this to this poor girl.
So he strangled her and fucking stabbed her 90 times.
With the kitchen knife, 90 times. Not 19, 90. 90 times he stabbed that poor girl. Later on, an autopsy showed, obviously, all that information that I'm telling you now. The strangulation marks. It was proven that she was stabbed 90 or even more times, but around 90 times she was stabbed. She had a lot of defense wounds, so she didn't just go easily. She was fighting for her life. It's a man versus woman, guys, and it's just a grown-ass man with a 19-year-old girl. He obviously overpowered her easily. The kitchen knife that he stabbed her with was found later behind the radiator, so he hid it.
Fucking cunt.
And it's just heartbreaking to think, how can you do this to someone that you're supposed to love? I can't believe it.
Nah, he didn't love her. He just loving himself, and he was just a possession. She obviously he'd been told that she gonna leave in 2 days, and he obviously lied to her family members, her and the neighbor, and he just got so fucking frustrated because he couldn't he couldn't lose her, so he thought the only option is to kill her. That's what it is. That's what narcissists are. Unfortunately, it's just so fucking frustrating. Especially coming back, you said, to COVID times, how hard it was to even escape, like even leave the properties. Do you know what I mean? It's just you couldn't even leave the house. You were only allowed to leave for an hour or so, yeah?
I know.
So everything just unfortunately went against her, and it's just so sad to see when good people are losing their lives. And
I know, it was so heartbreaking for her family. They had to fly to England to identify her body, and after it took weeks for them to transfer the body from England to Canada and obviously lay her to rest. It was just so traumatic, guys. I just can't believe he did that to that family, also to Ashley. It was just so brutal, as I said, such overkill. He didn't have to do this. It's like so simple. If someone don't want to be with you, just let them go. Why you need to be such a horrible human being and do this? They laid Ashley to rest back in her hometown. The most heartbreaking part to me is like they buried her 12 feet under the ground, and it was because her mom was gonna be buried 6 feet down in the ground, so on top of her, because she said you couldn't be with her when she lost her life, but she was gonna be with her for eternity. It's so sad.
I'm speechless. I am speechless because it's just another case that very frustrates me. It just happened so close to us, and 2022, man. This is crazy. We've been here, we're living here, and Essex is not that far away from where we live. But please tell me the good news. Please tell me that he's been convicted. And
Of course he was. Well, yeah, I know why you're thinking that.
Yes.
Because of the mental health card and everything. But I missed to tell you, when the police went into the property and found Ashley in the state that she was in, Jack did say, I went psychotic, I'm sorry. I strangled her and I stabbed her. So there was confession right there, yeah. But also later on, when they were questioning him, when they took him to the police and they questioned him officially, he was responding no comment to each question. Every question, no comment, no comment. Bro, you just fucking confessed when the police arrested you. Just tell them what happened. But he didn't. It's just so frustrating to me, guys. I'm sorry, but fucking dickhead. However, there was that mental health card, but in the end of the day, Jack had mental health issues, but that wasn't the reason he murdered Ashley. He was just a horrible being. So when the trial happened later on that year, the prosecution just destroyed him.
Good.
There was a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, they all said that he was completely sane and he could stand the trial, and all that digital evidence was presented as well. So they found on Ashley's phone, they found videos that it's so heartbreaking. She recorded herself with her bruises on her legs, on her arms. I think it was in the bathroom, and you can see that she just feels like so hopeless. Her face just shows how hopeless she was. And the bruises, I'm not just telling you like a small bruise here and there. She was black and blue. Oh my God. Black and blue. That's how bad the abuse was. And nobody fucking knew. Obviously her family knew that the things are not going well.
Yeah,
but until that final day that she told them that she's been beaten up, they didn't know that it was that bad. He was just saying everything is fine. That's what she was saying to her family. Yeah. So they presented that. They also presented a video from Jack's phone. So after he murdered Ashley, he recorded a video and he meant to send that to her sister.
Right.
On that video, he was saying how much sorry he is. And you could see Ashley's dead body on the background. And I'm just so glad that video never got to her sister, because can you imagine the trauma? But yeah, he confessed in that video as well that he did what he did. But I'm just like, how fucked up you must be to do this.
Yeah.
What the hell? And it was just like pointless, guys. I don't even know if his lawyers even had a case. I'm not sure. He was sentenced to life with the minimum of 23 years before he's even eligible for parole. To me, that's not enough.
No.
That's not even close to enough. He shouldn't be eligible.
No.
For parole. He should stay in the prison forever. This is a young guy. On the trial, it became clear that that was who he was. He's been in trouble before with police. He had restraining orders from previous girlfriends. He was stalking girls. He almost beat up his own mother. She had restraining order against him. All of that became clear on the trial. Ashley's family had no idea about this. So if they knew, they would never let their daughter go to this guy.
Well, he's not gonna tell them shit like that, you know. It's happened in the past. Fucking dick.
So the most chilling part is, you're not gonna believe when I tell you. After he murdered her, while her dead body was lying next to him, he was playing games, I told you, yeah. He was just chilling. He went about his life as it was a normal day. He fucking updated his Facebook profile picture with a selfie of two of them, with a caption, "Forever mine," and a love heart. That is just so disrespectful. Like, what the fuck? What a fucking, I don't know, shithead. The lowest of people this guy is, I'm telling you.
I have no comment to that. It's just
forever fucking yours my ass. You fucking murdered this poor girl and now you're gonna rot in prison, I hope, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, had a mental health issues as per his words.
Bullshit. Just fucking cry me a river. It's just fucking, it's bullshit. You know, that's just, I'm gonna put the mental health card, which that's the probably reason he didn't work, is because he was seeking benefits from the government because he had mental health issues. So, you know, he lived fucking high life and he didn't seek help. People with mental health issues keep seeking help and they live their happy ever after.
Because
this is not an excuse.
Who doesn't have mental health issues in this world that we live in? That's not an excuse to go and murder people, especially people that trusted you.
Yeah.
Like, I missed to tell you, before Ashley flew to England, he even spoke to her mom, and her mom told him, "Listen, I'm sending you my baby, yeah? Make sure you take care of her." And he said, "I'll guard her with my life." And that's what he did? Fucking I don't know, that's just like disgusting person.
Human being, yeah.
I hate him, man. Just no.
Well, let's hope he will rot in prison and the other inmates who are there who have daughters, who have children, or any respect for women in that sense, will fuck him up completely, because he doesn't deserve to live in society. It's just
he fucked up so many people's life. Imagine his sister, he fucking called her after he murdered someone. Can you imagine the trauma that woman went through as well? Because of this dickhead. Obviously he assaulted his mother back in 2014, I think it was, so she had to get a restraining order as well against him. Later on they obviously tried to fix their relationship, but doesn't matter. He was horrible person even to his own family. That just shows you that this guy didn't have mental health issues, and even if he did, he was far gone. He was a horrible person since he was very young.
Of course.
And it's just he should never leave prison. He should rot in prison.
Yep.
And that's that.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, that's today's story, guys. It's very sad for Ashley's family, and today they're working hard to spread awareness about Clare's law. So Clare's law is a law that pretty much allows you to go and ask the police if your partner, let's say, have previously offended anyone.
Yeah.
So if you suspect anything like that, you can go here in England, ask the police, and they need to give you that information.
Yeah, good.
Because apparently Ashley's parents, they didn't know that.
It's not
They
in every
said-
country.
Yeah, they said if they knew, they would contact England's police and they would ask. But not many people are aware about this, guys. So you should know your rights, even though, in my opinion, that information should be public.
Yeah.
I don't think you should go and ask the police. I think if there is offenders out there that been convicted or they've assaulted people, that should be public information online, I think.
Yeah, but luckily there is a lot of groups, even on Facebook, because I got randomly like some different groups popping up on my socials, and there is a group for cheaters and all this stuff, and people who are not sure if they're dating the right guy or male or female. They put in the pictures there, and then you've got the Clare's law, and people actually who knew those people, they will comment. So, or if that person did something horrible to them, planted their face straight away on socials, and you've got everything what happened to them step by step. So even though there is no publicly sourced information online, but still people who live in our society, live in England, posting their faces, because in England you've got your face, they're not like in Poland where you need to have your face covered or whatever. All the human beings are caring about you in that sense. So that's good that we've got that law anyway, and the other people are spreading the awareness also.
I definitely want Ashley's story to be a reminder how dangerous the digital world today is, guys, and you need to be careful. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, man or a woman, just don't go meet strangers alone. I understand that this cannot be avoided. A lot of relationships starts online, which is so good.
Yes, of course.
Some people are getting married after they meet on Tinder, or doesn't matter where, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But it is still very dangerous, guys. Don't go meet people alone, at least the first time.
Yeah.
And if you see any red flags, seek help. Or if you think your friend or a family member are in danger, don't just keep quiet. Seek help for them straight away, because some people just don't do that for themselves, or they're just so unaware. Or as I said, they're just too kind to even think that people were like
bad in the world.
that people are just capable of that kind of stuff. I feel very bad for Helen as well, the neighbor, because she probably carries this guilt with her to this day. Unfortunately, I don't blame her. I don't blame anyone for this except Jack.
Yeah.
He was a horrible human being. He deserves more than what he got, because I think he should stay in prison for life.
Yep.
Again, I'm saying this. It's not like someone is gonna hear me. It's gonna be, yes, he's staying in prison. Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. Like, subscribe. We're here every week for you. I'm Dilyana.
And I'm Marta.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.